Hi, I'm Stephen Wilson and you're watching Search and Destroy. Enjoy. Well, I think the other projects you mentioned, the other bands you mentioned, are more like set in a particular aspect of my musical personality. So, for example, Porcupine Tree, although I still write most of the music for that project, I'm very much writing with the other musicians in mind. So, for example, I wouldn't ask them to play something that I didn't think they would enjoy playing. There's one guy in Porcupine Tree, for example, that hates jazz, so I would never bring my jazz influence to Porcupine Tree. So the thing about the solo tour, the solo shows, is it's much more of a kind of complete musical picture of all of the sides of my musical personality. So there's jazz, progressive, electronic, metal, psychedelic, singer-songwriter, industrial. It's all kind of in there somewhere. Also visually, I think it's quite different too. It's a slightly darker, kind of more atmospheric, immersive visual experience. The whole kind of concept of this show is to create something which is completely immersive. What I mean by that is the moment you come into the concert hall, you feel like you're a part of something. We have visuals and particular kind of music, even from the moment the audience are coming in. We don't have any opening act, we don't have a support band. So the whole idea is to create some kind of whole environment for the audience with the films, the music. We have quadraphonic sound, so we have speakers at the back too. So there's certain sounds that come from behind, which can be quite a powerful experience, So it's very much conceived as an overall kind of environment, including music and visuals, and textures and sound and emotion. Well, partly people I'd worked with before who I knew would be right for this, partly some recommendations of people. I didn't have any idea of a drummer, I didn't have any idea of a keyboard player, but luckily I was recommended some phenomenal musicians, the one thing about that, of course, is you never know for sure if it's all going to work until you actually get them all in the same room together. But I have to say, on this occasion, it was just perfect. It's not always that way, but this time the musicians just gelled perfectly together. Absolutely. In fact, I've already started writing, and we're going to play at the show. We're going to play one new, very, very long piece, about 15-minute long piece of music, which is written for the next record, and which I've actually written specifically with these musicians in mind and what they're capable of, which is actually a lot more advanced than anything I could, have conceived myself before, because these guys, just in terms of musicianship, they're on a higher level, certainly much higher level to me. So it's interesting to be able to write music that you could not play yourself. That's kind of strange for me. I couldn't play, but I can kind of play it on the keyboard slow and then speed it up. But these guys can actually play it. So in a way, that's changed my whole process of writing. And as I say, we're going to play this new piece at the show, which is going to be one of the tracks on the new record.
And you know the title for the song?
It's called Luminol. Luminol. So what we're going to do is we're going to, on this tour, we're filming a DVD. In fact, we're filming the show here. So we're filming a DVD of the current show. That will probably come out September, October, and then the new record will come out early the next year. This couldn't be further away from that. But you know what, I think in a way you're right, because the origin of this album was is my friendship with Michael. And
Yeah.
the start of that was around the time of Blackwood Park, and the fact that we realised we had a very strong musical connection and also personal connection. The real kind of origin of Storm Corrosion really is just two guys listening and talking about records together. Because we both are still very big collectors of, he collects vinyl, I collect vinyl and CD, but we both collect music. When we get together, we just go to record stores and we buy records and we come back and we talk about, we drink wine and we listen to music and we talk about records and music. And I think Storm Corrosion was a very natural extension of that. We just found ourselves going to the studio and starting to explore particular kind of music, particular styles of music, which I think a lot of people will find is not what they would expect from us. It's much more orchestral, it's much more minimal and spiritual. There are hardly any drums on the record, there's hardly any distorted guitars, but it's still very, very dark, very twisted. So people will still hear our musical personalities in there, but perhaps in a kind of musical context that they wouldn't have expected. Well, because they were made simultaneously. I mean, the three records we were working on at the same time. And in fact, I worked on all three records, and there were some days when I was working on Grace of Drowning for a few hours in the morning, Heritage for a few hours in the evening, and then we would go to work on Storm Corrosion, late at night. So all three records were being made simultaneously, and there is definitely a connection between them, musically and spiritually and emotionally, and it feels, Storm Corrosion feels like the conclusion of a whole kind of musical direction that started with Grace of Drowning and Heritage. I'd have to say it's a much more minimal record and a more orchestral record, but still you will hear, I think you will hear the connection. It's a true collaboration, and also when I say that, I mean it was a true collaboration in the sense we were both sitting in the same room. Because I know a lot of people these days collaborate through email and through the internet. Yeah. We didn't do that. We literally sat opposite each other in the same room and we exchanged ideas. And that kind of old-fashioned way of making a record, I think, made it a more kind of emotional, more spiritual record. No plans. There will be, but right now I'm really excited about Storm Corrosion, the solo project. For me, both of these things have taken my music into new areas. And because I'm a very curious person, I like to always feel like there's a sense of evolution and there's a sense of trying new things. So right now I'm very happy with these new situations. Porcupine Tree, we made 10 albums over 15 years. We toured our asses off for 15 years. We built a great fan base. We made some really great records. I'm really proud of them. But I felt at the end of the last album cycle that we needed to take maybe some time out and do some other things. That's what we did.
So are you going to release first your third solo album?
Yes. Oh. That's my next major project is the third solo. So, well, I just want to tell the fans that we are filming this show for a DVD, and I picked Mexico particularly because I know the fans are so fantastic. So please come along and make it a night to remember because we're filming it.
Search and destroy.